Okay, scholars, let's get started. Today you're going to need a pair of scissors, and remember, you want to make sure you ask a grown-up before you grab any scissors and make sure you have permission to use them. We want to be extra careful with scissors. You're going to need some glue. A glue stick is fine. And if you wanted to, you could have something to write with. If you have some colored papers, you might not need something to write with, and I'll show you why. But if you have some scrap papers, it would be good to get some different colored pieces of paper, or you can use other things like pieces of newspaper or something else, whatever you can find. Our goal today is to figure out how to make 3D objects. That means objects that are three-dimensional and coming off the page. So instead of flat pieces, today we're going to make some 3D objects. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what we want to glue our papers to. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get I think I'll choose blue. Oops, nope, I'm gonna choose, I need a paper that I haven't cut into. All right, I'm gonna choose purple, and you want something that you're gonna glue your pieces to, so I'm just gonna fold it in half, or you can cut it in half. So what you wanna do, maybe I'll cut it in half to show you what that looks like. When you cut something, you wanna make sure that your hands that you're cutting with are really far away from these fingers that are holding the paper, because you don't want to accidentally cut our fingers. When you put the scissors on your hand, you want to put your thumb in the small hole, and you want to put your other fingers in the big hole. That way you have lots of chopping power. So when you hold the paper and you put the scissors in to chop, you want to open the scissors all the way, and you're going to put the paper right where the scissors or the edges of the scissors meet, and you're going to chop. You want to chop all the way down. Chop, chop, chop. Okay, so this is going to be my paper that I'm going to make my 3D artwork on. Now, if you don't have paper that has color on it and you want paper with color, guess what? You can go ahead and take white paper and you can make it colorful. Maybe you want to add some designs, some swirlies. We can have swirly lines. You can use your texture, your lines, your color to make some interesting paper. So what I would do, maybe you want to make warm and cool paper. I'm just going to go ahead and add some texture here. Maybe I'll add some more swirly lines. Maybe I'll add some zigzag lines. Oops, I drew on the table. And you can go ahead and just have some fun with this. Again, if you have colorful paper and you don't want to do this part, that's okay. But if you don't have colorful paper, you can make some really interesting paper for your 3D artworks by just adding some designs. So there's an example. If you don't have colorful paper, like construction paper, different kinds of paper, you can go ahead and take your white paper and color it and make it fun. Even if you have colorful paper, you can do this too. Once you have the paper ready, you want to make sure that you have somewhere where you can glue your 3D artwork onto. So, for example, I use this scrap paper. I probably would rip this off to glue this piece on. Now, the next question is, how do we make these pieces? So I'm going to get some of my construction paper. Let me see. I'm going to choose green. And I'm going to cut a long piece of paper. So in order to do this project, we're going to need some long pieces of paper, which means we have to practice our scissor skills. So what you want to do, remember, your thumb goes in the small hole, your other fingers go in the big hole, and you're going to open up your scissors all the way. I'm going to make sure this hand is really far away from my scissors as I open up wide and chop. Open up wide and chop. Now I'm getting very close to my fingers, so I'm going to move my fingers down low. Open up and chop and chop. So let's look at our piece. It's not perfect, but pretty good. Now the most important thing about getting our pieces to stick to the paper is that we have to give them feet. So on the edge of my piece, I'm just going to fold it a little bit. This is going to give it a little foot to stand on the paper. So that way when I put glue, my piece will stand on the paper. I want it to stand on both sides, so I'm also going to bend this side. So these are called feet. And what's gonna happen is when I bend my loop, this is called a loop. Everybody say loop, loop. I can glue my loop onto my paper and it has feet. So here we go. The next thing we're gonna do is talk about glue. When you open your glue stick, you wanna make sure there's not too much glue sticking out. So I have a lot of glue. I'm gonna roll my glue stick down by twisting this orange thing. So my glue is nice and low. Then I'm going to put glue on my foot just a little bit. And I'm gonna stick my foot onto my paper. I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, okay? Next, I'm gonna put glue on my other foot. And I'm gonna bend my loop and I'm gonna hold my foot down 1, 2, 3, and look, now I have a 3D loop on my paper. This is the beginning of my roller coaster world. So my first roller coaster is really cool. It goes woo, up and down. Next, I'm gonna teach you a different loop to make. So if you need to pause the video, you can go ahead and press pause and practice your loop. If you're ready to move on, you can move on with me. In order to move on, we're going to need another piece of paper. So I am going to, again, cut a long strip of the yellow paper with my scissors. I'm gonna make sure I'm holding them correctly. Open them wide, far away from my fingers, and chop, 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 chop. Awesome. Now, let's think. Before I glued my paper, my loop to the paper, what did I have to make? Does anybody remember what those were called? These right here? They're called feet. So in order to make my feet, I need to fold a little piece of the paper at the end and fold a little piece of paper at the end here. So that way my piece of paper has somewhere to stand. And the next loop I'm going to make is a little tricky, but I know we can do it. So again, I'm gonna glue down one of my feet. This one is going to be called a twisting loop. So we are practicing cutting and gluing today. So if you don't get it perfect on the first try, that is okay. So I'm gonna put some glue on my first foot and I'm gonna hold it down. Count with me, 1, 2, 3. Now it should be pretty tight. If it's not, hold it down some more, or maybe you need some more glue. In order to do our twisting loop, I'm going to roll my piece of paper around until it makes a twist. And then I am going to glue down the foot. Now this is really tricky. You're gonna have to hold it in that loop while you glue this piece down. I know you can do it. It might come loose while you're trying to glue it, but just roll it back and count with me, 1, 2, 3. So I have 2 feet, 1 and 2, and now I have my twisting loop. What a cool roller coaster! Woo, woo! It's almost like it goes upside down if somebody was to go on that roller coaster. Very cool. All right, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and press pause and practice your twisting loop. If you're ready to move on, we are going to do our next roller coaster that is called the accordion. Now this might be my favorite one. I'm going to use brown for this one. Again, we need to cut a piece, so make sure your fingers are in the right spot on the scissors. Make sure your hands are far away from where you're cutting. Open up wide and chop. Open up wide, chop. Open up wide, chop. Open up wide, chop, and chop. So you should have a long piece of paper. If you need a minute to press pause and do that, go ahead. Remember, we are practicing cutting today, so be super careful, and if you make a mistake, that's okay. Now this one, the accordion, you're gonna do a lot of folding. So we need to make the feet. So I'm gonna make a foot. I'm just gonna fold it like this, just a little piece. And then this is gonna be the tricky part. So I'm gonna fold it, and then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold it back the other way. and pinch, nice and tight. And then I'm gonna fold it back the other way and pinch. I'm gonna fold it back this way and pinch. So Miss Armstrong's not folding like this in a circle. She's folding back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, all the way till I get to the end. And I'm going to show you why this one is my favorite one. Are you ready? Set. Woo! So when you fold back and forth, you're going to have something that looks like an accordion. This will be your accordion fold. Now, if you need to press pause and go back and watch that again, you should, because that was really, really tricky. And to glue this down is the same as the other ones. You're going to put a little bit of glue on one of your feet and you're going to hold it down tight. 1, 2, 3. Put a little bit of glue here and hold it down tight. 1, 2, 3, done. So these are the 3 folds we're going to work on today. We have a loop, we have a twisting loop, and we have an accordion. I want you to try each of those at least once, and then you can create whatever else you want in your roller coaster world. So for example, in my roller coaster world, I want there to be some seats on my roller coaster. So once I'm done creating my loops, I'm going to go ahead and create a seat for my roller coaster. In order to create a seat, remember I'm cutting, my hands are far away from where I'm cutting. I'm just going to cut a little piece of paper. It looks like this, a tiny little rectangle. And I'm just going to fold it in half. And that's going to make a little seat for my imaginary people to go on my roller coaster. And then I'm going to glue it to my roller coaster. Now this is going to be your roller coaster world. So Miss Armstrong only has how many roller coasters? Let's count. 1, 2, 3. You can have as many roller coasters as you want. If you wanted to add another one, maybe Miss Armstrong will add another one. Maybe I'll add a tiny one so we can have a different kind of roller coaster. You can have as many roller coasters as you want. I'm going to make my feet for this little one. And I'm going to glue it on. And then once you choose how many roller coasters you want, you can decorate your artwork. Maybe you want some of your roller coasters to go on top of other roller coasters. You guys can get really crazy and creative. 1, 2, 3. Maybe this roller coaster is going to go on top of 2 roller coasters. Look at that. Wow. 1, 2, 3. Miss Armstrong got a little crazy with that roller coaster. This one is a loop, just like this one, but it's on top of these 2. And then you can see I made my seat for my roller coaster. And if you wanted to, you can get some drawing materials and you can write on here. You can draw on here. Maybe I want to draw some loopy lines next to my loopy roller coaster. You can add some designs. As long as you make 1, 2, 3 and you practice your folding, you are all done with this project and you made your roller coaster world. You need to try the loop, a twisting loop, and the accordion. If you need to press pause and go back, that is okay. And if it's not perfect, that's okay too. We are just practicing. Once you practice your 3 folds, you are all done and you can decorate your roller coaster world. I cannot wait to see what you guys create. I hope you had fun practicing your cutting skills with the scissors, your gluing skills with the glue, and I hope you had fun making your roller coaster world. Remember, when you're done with it, I want you to take a picture and upload it to Google Classroom so you can share what you created. All right, see you next time.